Before you know it, it's boom.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. We're back with another Nudelberg daily huddle. Good morning, fellas. Dad, what's on your cup? You trying to show us what's on the mug there, or what's happening?
You know what? The other cup has a really cool saying. This one has "Wake up, kick ass, and repeat." So this was a gift from our friend Kim Sweers, who is the coffee maven. So I was just noticing it myself because the other mug, which I will show you, hold on.
There he goes. The show has taken on like a whole reality TV feel.
So this one is the sister to it, and it said, "Good things come to those who go out and fucking hustle."
I love it.
Sisters, baby.
So I love it. So today's Thursday, and in the football world, today is championship week. Okay, and most programs, this is their final practice before the championship games on Saturday. We called it Perfect Thursday. It was the final tune-up going in. But I'm feeling it. It's a big weekend coming up. And I heard Dabo talk in his post-practice press conference yesterday, and he was like, this isn't the same. It doesn't take the same preparation. It takes championship preparation. It takes championship focus, and it takes championship execution. And I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I agree that as the season progresses, you should get into a better routine and your focus should become sharper and better. But you're not doing a whole new routine for this week than you did in the previous weeks. You're going about your business with what should be the same focus that's got you to where you are now.
If you are, there's wholesale problems with that. Because
Correct.
That would be like, getting a big opportunity and changing your whole process and changing your whole game plan, which, doesn't really work. I got some interesting vibes about Saturday. I mean, it's a full day of football. Clemson Notre Dame to me is the game of the day.
For sure. Well, it dictates what happens with everybody else.
But, we've spoken about this before. Beating a team twice in the same season is really hard. To do. It's really hard.
Especially in college football where you're not used to doing it. In the NFL, you play everybody in your division twice, so it's a little bit different. But in college football where you're used to only playing somebody one time, when you get the second crack at them, it's a whole different ballgame. The odds are usually not in your favor to beat a team twice in a row.
And I am a ultimate positive thinker, as you know that. I am dreaming and doing things. Look who just showed up, Sammy K.
Sammy, good morning.
Man, great to see you, my friend. So for me, being the optimist and seeing the movie play out, I have a very, very bad feeling about the Florida-Alabama game.
Yes, I mean,
I think that could be a horror movie.
So it's interesting because I think you have two teams that are in the championship that are completely different caliber football teams, which I think you find the same thing in the Big Ten. Like there's nobody in the Big Ten that's on Ohio State's level. I don't care how many games Ohio State has played. They are one of the top 4 teams in the country. And assuming they win, they should get into the playoff, whether they've played 3 games or 7 games or 12 games. I don't really care about that.
To think that they were considering another team is absurd. I mean, clearly this is a crazy year, but there's got to be some logic. And so I'm excited. I think that gives us, always something to look forward to. It'll be a full day of football. I think we got 12, 3:30, and then 8 o'clock. Is that right?
For sure. 1,000%. And it's a full day, all championship games, and like real playoff implications almost in every single game. So I love the comment, Matthew. Absolutely. We talk about sales. We talk about American football. And glad to have you in the huddle as you're new to the U.S. and introducing you to people all within this group.
So the power of the huddle, he reached out to me through LinkedIn and said, "Hey, would you have me?" Which was really humbling. Like if they have me, you're in, brother.
Yeah.
Be
I
careful.
love that.
Be careful of a group that accepts me in. So really, really good shit. So hey, Lloyd, just so you know, it's always black shirt. Sayings
right.
show up better. I missed the memo. You guys are both
I
you
love
shirt.
it. You know what? Me and Shay are on the same wavelength. Well done, Shay Money. So today's
there's a lack of communication. What up with that, dude?
You know what? So that's going to take us right into the rest. So today, okay. So we've been on this topic of father-son entrepreneurs. There's some stuff happening this year about an unbelievable father-son duo that had a kick-ass year. And that sent me down a rabbit hole of looking at father-son duo tandems, some even trios, and some lessons that we can learn from them. But before we do that, I want to get to the morning motivational music. And then we've got some current events that I want to talk about. Shay, take it away.
Now, Dad, this is a very sensitive subject.
From the first time the doctor placed you in my arms, I knew I'd meet death before I let you meet harm. Although questions arose in my mind, would I be man enough against wrong? Choose right and be standing up. From the hospital that first night, took an hour just to get the car seat in right. People driving all fast got me kinda upset. Got you home safe, placed you in your bassinet. That night I don't think one wink I slept. As I slipped out my bed to your crib I crept. Touched your head gently, felt my heart melt, cause I knew I loved you more than life itself. Into my knees, and I begged the Lord, please let me be a good daddy. All he needs, love, knowledge, discipline too. I pledge my life to you.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
Just me and you. Just me.
So I'm gonna burst out in tears, man, because the words of that song, bring me back to like, holy shit, I got this responsibility. This dude's on me. And then I get to stare across the screen at what I did. And trust me, I have fucked up a lot of stuff in my life. You are not one of them, brother.
So shout out to Lloyd Gillick, who actually named the album Big Willie Style. Well done, Lloyd. That song comes off that album. And the words that obviously that's a remake of a classic, and that was written for his son, who has gone on to have a very successful career. And that's going to take us down a whole bunch of content that I want to talk about. But before that, yesterday was all over social media. It was all over the news. Tom Cruise lost his mind. And we actually have the footage of it to show you him losing his mind. Shay, show me Tom Cruise losing his mind.
Well, don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not gonna do what you all think I'm gonna do, which is just flip out. Well, let me just say, as I ease out of the office I helped build, I'm sorry, but it's a fact that there is such a thing as manners. A way of treating people. These fish have manners. These fish have manners. In fact, they're coming with me. I'm starting a new company, and the fish will come with me.
So, not actually the freak out that happened yesterday, but very, very similar. Shay, show us what actually happened yesterday with Tom Cruise on the set of Mission Impossible 7.
We are the gold standard. You're back here in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every studio at night. Insurance companies. Producers. And And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you I don't ever want to see it again. Ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too, and you too, and you. Don't you ever do it again. That's it. No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. In the future of this industry. So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out.
Cool.
So there's a lot here that I want to unpack, but the backdrop of that is he's done it, and Tony Hopper with the line of the century, right?
There's a mic drop. If I've ever heard a mic drop, Tony Hopper
definitely lost that love and feeling.
It's like,
well done, Tony.
So good. Boom, home run.
So for the leaders in this group, or for the people that are running an organization, this is a meltdown moment from a leader, right? I mean, he completely loses composure and lost his shit. But the backdrop of it is that he has put in very specific protocols. He's put in a ton of his own money to make this movie go. It's far beyond delayed. And he's at a point now where he sees two people standing within 3 feet of each other and loses his shit on them because they're not following COVID protocol.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
So you know my style mirrors that. There were times that I felt that the only way I could communicate the message, because I had done it so many times.
That's the key.
I got to the point where I blew a fucking gasket and people knew that was it. There was nothing beyond that. And I had a big troop. I mean, back in the day in the phone business, I had a lot of people that reported to me.
It happened. How leaders handle it after is really, really important.
Really
and you
good.
immediately see him start to back down off the ledge and say, look, I'm sorry, but I'm beyond your apologies at this point. I've told you what I want. We've gone through the standards, and now here's where we are, and you're still not doing it. He apologizes for that being what he got to, but it serves a purpose. That moment of, and you can't remove that because it shows that he actually cares.
Correct.
And because he cares, he passes that passion and that importance down to the rest of the organization, so that if you're not willing to fall in line with that standard, then you don't belong on the set. And he tells you that right there and there.
And I got to tell you, I want my leader to be in it 1,000%. Like that, you know, I'll follow that guy anywhere, anytime. And it's so cool because Jake is in here and we're talking Tom Cruise. I mean, go figure.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I'm still a little annoyed that he does not show up on my days. Just so happens. You know? But the reality is, when you see your leaders committed like that, it's much easier to fall in line and go, woo! I mean, that guy is in 100%. Am I clear?
I mean, and he says that. He says, am I clear? And if you're a real dude on that set, you respond to him and say Crystal, because that would have been the most unbelievable situation of all time. Because he says, am I clear? You know?
but if you follow his career, all of the movies, the fact that he does his own stunts, he is a case study in leadership because he does it. He's not telling a guy like that. If he were to pop off like that and not be as committed as he is, that's bullshit. That's where the disconnect is, where people go, oh, listen to this guy. He's just a big hot bag of wind. That's not the case, man. He's in, and he says, we have a responsibility So I love
And
it.
I love Scott Graham's comment, because that's why I played the whole thing and not just little snippets, because I think it's important that you see the entire situation happen, because he loses his shit, yeah, but he gives you context by saying, I'm on the phone every night with every studio telling them how we're doing what we're doing so we can get our industry back online, to get people back to work and help people get back to doing what they were doing. We had Adam Struhl on, who came out of the music industry, which is devastated. So the entertainment industry, which is struggling, when you have somebody who's setting the standard, and then you have somebody, and I would say it's selfish behavior. And you can't afford to have selfish behavior within the organization, because it's a cancer, and it will 1000% lead to a larger problem if you just allow it to be.
I think one of the reasons why he's been such a great actor is he brings all of that to every role. I mean, so no matter what role he played, he was that guy. He has, there's a word, that's intensity. You can't fake intensity. Like, guys that are coaching right now, this is it, man. There's no middle ground with Saban. This is
Correct.
it. He's like, listen,
Correct.
you could listen to all the shit you want about how bad Florida is. That does not matter how we operate. That's not, we show up because that's how we show up. So that kind of leadership you cannot fake when you talk about genuine and authentic. And a lot of the people that are in the huddle here, especially our clients that were doing leadership type development, this is a really good case study of where, you just got to bring it. I think that kind of fire. What does Jake say?
Yeah, people love Saban because you never hear the audio. I mean, that's Saban on a daily basis. That's Saban in every single staff meeting to the people underneath him. I think that's where, and Kobe talked about leadership being a lonely place, because while it's super important to come at the people that you lead from a point of understanding and meet them where they are, it's your job also to hold the standard and to keep people accountable. And it doesn't mean that you have to pull the stick out immediately every time. If you do that, you'll lose a lot of people, but the stick is necessary at some point.
So my friend Kitty McGowan is in the huddle. Welcome to the huddle. Kitty, we'll send you the link.
Shay can post the link. Yeah, Shay can post the YouTube link that we pulled.
I mean, it's worthwhile.
That has the entire thing.
It's worthwhile unpacking it, listening to yourself. This kind of stuff, when you pay attention to what leaders in our world, role models, do, it makes a difference, because it sinks into your DNA. It becomes part of how you operate, which is, clearly when we go back to father and son, good or bad, you followed my tone. You knew that there was a point that I was not going to accept any bullshit. I laid the tracks down, but at a point, I let you know exactly what I was thinking. There's no middle ground with Tom Cruise. People know exactly what he was thinking,
And so, I'm beyond your apologies is a point where they're not starting the movie. It's not the first time that they've had an issue. They've already had to shut down for a couple of weeks because people had broken the protocol and people got COVID. So this is a repeat offender, which for those of you that are dealing with that kind of problem within your organization, and I had a great conversation with somebody that I'm coaching yesterday about this, is he wanted to go right to the stick. And I said, well, wait a minute. What explain to me the entire situation that's happened here. And after we walked through it, I said, absolutely. If you don't deliver consequences in this moment, you'll lose this person forever. They'll walk all over you, and there'll never be any kind of understanding that there is some sort of consequence, and there's a form of being held accountable.
So I just had this conversation, and somebody that's in this huddle knows I had this conversation, and I want to bring it back to when we were kids. When your parents said, hey, you got to go to bed at 8 o'clock. If you didn't go to bed at 8 o'clock, you got punished. However parents disciplined their kids at that point, you either had something taken away. My dad was a disciplinarian, like, all right, take it like a man, and would belt me on, oh, wow. Like, okay, I'm not doing that again, or touch the hot iron. So, you bring up great points here of how, success leaves clues. You want people to act. You have to manage that behavior. I use this example. When Jimmy Johnson took over the Cowboys, in one of his first meetings, one of the running backs fell asleep in the meeting. And by the end of the meeting, his locker was cleared out.
Correct.
He sent the message to everybody else, hey, that shit ain't going to fly here. Goodbye.
But he also knew that running back was not Emmitt Smith, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like let's, be smart about it. Find the person that you can afford to make the example because, talent still wins games. So, but yes, that's the whole point. And I think, to Michelle Morrison's point, there's this distinct difference between intense passion and a rant. Had he started that way, by the time you get to the middle of the movie production, people are tuning that shit out. They don't hear it anymore. It gets old and it just becomes background noise. It no longer has the same effect that it does when it happens in the middle because he's tried to deliver the message in a way to get through to you, to get you to understand that obviously you still don't understand. So now comes the stick.
Love it. I think that's awesome. A big shout out to Mark Sassauer. This is his first view of the Huddle, and you'll never forget your first time, my friend.
Good morning, Mark. Thanks for being here. Awesome. So let's transition. Let's transition into this father-son and what people have learned, because there is a duo this year that we've talked about a little bit, but Eugene Levy and his son Dan have had an absolutely phenomenal year. If you don't know, Dan and Eugene produced and wrote the show Schitt's Creek, which this year at the Emmys absolutely destroyed it. They swept the comedy category with 9 awards, and they both won individual awards for lead actor and supporting actor. So, there was a article written about them and working together and what it means to them. And I think there's some great stuff from Dan, from a son's point of view, about, working together and what it's like to have a dad in that role. Show me him talking about what it's like to work with Eugene.
I always felt being the senior member with the most experience, I would have to, mentor a little bit. Once I realized I did not have to do that, I could step back and we could kind of go through this as, kind of equal partners.
Except for, you being at the monitors all the time, watching us, Sarah and I, and, mouthing the words along like a stage parent.
Other than that, though.
Other than being an enthusiastic stage parent.
Yeah, it was pretty
very professional.
Yeah.
So wow. I love to hear the difference of the perspectives where he's like, we could go into this as equal partners. And Dan is like, yeah, but he's still trying to control every step of everything that happens.
Does that sound familiar?
It's so true. It's so spot on. And then there's another video that I think is really important and really cool for him to hear of Dan talking about the support that he's got from Eugene from his entire life.
Yeah.
I also think there's a level of sort of, I think generally in terms of like support of me, you've never questioned it's never me being who I am has never been, I've never had to prove myself, I've never had to explain myself, and that I feel like fundamentally is the support that every father needs to give their son.
Super cool to hear him talk about the unconditional support that he's gotten in order to be successful. And then there's a clip here from the Emmys of Eugene accepting his award for Best Actor. And Shay, go ahead and show me that, and pay attention to Dan and the way he looking at his dad accept this award.
And as a dad, getting to work on camera for 6 years with both my kids, Daniel and Sarah. Hi, honey. Such a joy. Love you both and could not be prouder. And that brings me to my multi-Emmy nominated partner, Daniel Levy, who took our show that we came up with and brilliantly guided it to this little Emmy party tonight. So thank you.
Wow.
So super cool to see, Eugene talk about Dan that way and his partner and what they've done, and to see how Dan is looking at him as he accepts that award, which was his first award in that category. So it was super cool to see his dad late in his career like that, excel at something like that. So this sent me down a rabbit hole of, all right, father-son duos, who are out there, who can we learn from? And in sports, there's only a few families that get included in this royalty family. But Shay, show me the Mannings.
Yeah, don't get better.
Anyway, that's the control room. A lot of chaos there, but it all looks good when it comes out on the show, actually, thanks to those people. Then over here in the digital center is our highlight screening area. So that's where we get all the games that are played that night, down in a 90-second or 2-minute clips or whatever you're going to see on sports every night. This hallway, it runs between, both rooms. If you want to get from the control room to the screening, then this is the hallway you'd take. Questions or anything? I can answer whatever you want about the place. Nothing?
Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Yeah, so the classic commercial, and I'm sure it was just like that growing up, but it went from, so Archie was a very successful college quarterback, went on to play in New Orleans and set the stage for them and allowed the opportunity for these guys to step in and really grow underneath him to be around the game forever. And Peyton went on to be super successful, obviously. So imagine being Eli coming in behind him. There's a great interview from when Eli went to Ole Miss. Show me a little bit of Eli Manning.
When you have a brother who's had the success that he had, and everybody, here I come, and everybody knows me as Peyton's little brother, and people are expecting everything in the world from me, or me to come and do the exact same things he did. But really, you can't worry about that kind of stuff. You got to come out here, you got to play your game, and be your own person, have your own style, and just if you work hard and I do the best I can do, that's all I can do.
So no surprise that Eli goes on to be Super Bowl champion and have his own career, because you hear him in there. You can't worry about that stuff. You can't worry about filling the shoes or walking in the shadow. Be you. Focus on what you can control.
That's easier said than done for both parties. For both parties. I mean, a lot of people said to me when you came on board, "Oh, that's really nice. You're going to cover your son." And they didn't know who you were or what you were capable of. But I've had multiple dialogues where I go, listen, the one thing I wasn't prepared for was for you to be better than me. That's like, wow, like that's a real, like, that's what you want, but it very rarely happens for two reasons. The person in my role doesn't allow it to happen. There's a control and an ego thing, or you just don't have the skill sets. You have both. I mean, you and our partnership is both. And so when you see that, Archie had to let Peyton be better than him. Peyton was better. Peyton was better,
So through my research and listening to a bunch of different interviews and stuff, you hear Archie talk about he never, ever, ever got involved in the X's and O's side. He allowed them to go be the players that they would become. And if they came to him with questions, he would answer and give guidance, but he never tried to step in to limit their beliefs. Shay, show me Will and Jaden Smith, because it's a perfect transition.
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not even me. All right? You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. You want something, go get it. Period. Let's go.
Ooh, dude. This is an unbelievable show today. This is
so that's really them. That's father son.
Lumps are right
That's
here.
father son, and the entry into that scene is them shooting hoops, and he shoots it and makes a shot, and he tells him, he said, "Look, like you're probably going to end up being a lot like I was, and I was very average, so I don't want you out here shooting hoops all day because that's not going to get you where you need to be." And then he immediately corrects himself and says, "Not even me Don't let me take your dream away from you. If you want to do something, you go get it, which is unbelievable opportunities so for like, you talked about it, like, oh, you're going to cover your son, or people could say, oh, well, I walked into this coaching role or this, sales leadership role, and I was kind of graced with it, or it was nepotism to get there. It's an opportunity. Sure. Did you have this opportunity at 32? No. Right. But I got it because of what you did, but that doesn't mean that I don't have to have a responsibility to take it and run with it and excel with it. And it doesn't take the same work ethic and focus to be successful at it.
So I want to bring up this point, and this happens a lot when dads coach their kids in Little League and in high school and whatever. They're trying to live their dream through their kid. Clearly, that was not the case with you and me. Back then, shit, I was harder on you than I was on anybody. And even now, being there and this has a lot to do with really good coaching. You can't do it for somebody. You have to give them the space to grow into it with everything I've learned. And so what a fabulous topic today, because whoever you're using as a mentor, if you're fortunate enough to have your mother or father in the picture and be able to hand this stuff down, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So awesome stuff. There's a lot more that we didn't get to. The Belichick father and son, the Eastwoods, the Stillers. There was some great stuff that we didn't get to, but if you want to go down that path, happy to share any of the stuff that I learned and some of the content that we had. But really glad that we got to touch on this topic today. Great stuff about leadership, about guidance, about great duos. I'm super thankful for our tandem and our father-son connection and what we're doing here. So, have a great Thursday. Take it away. Stay on the ball. Shay, give us the music.
One last thing before you go, Shay. Tomorrow I'm revealing the word of the year. If anybody wants to jump into the show, if they have a word and they want to share their word and why, tomorrow is that day, because we are at that point where you need to be prepared to go into 2021 packed bags and ready to go. So I'm revealing my word and why. And I know anybody that's in here, email me, Mark, or Shay with your word. And if you want to get on, we will send you a link and bring you on the show, because this huddle is about us, all of us, not just me and Mark. So boom, take us home.
Now, Dad, is a very sensitive subject.